I'm trying to find a way to share what happened the last 2 days going to Michigan and going to my 50th high school reunion with you, but make it beneficial to you. So it's not a story. So what I did is I scripted before I went of what the creative power was so that I could identify that with you and show how that creative power can be used in our individual life, which allows us to do that. So the title that I'm going to talk about, what is our role in the creative process? And I think that's real important. There's a creative process. It's always happening, and we've got to uncover our role. Until we uncover our role, we will be victims. Does that make sense? A victim is someone who has things happening to them. But if we're individualized expressions of God, nothing's happening to us. It's happening through us. And those two words are very different. To us and through us are very, very different. If it's happening through us, then we're the vessel through which it outpours, which means we have control over what comes through us. Does that make sense? So we're going to start off with the infinite Spirit, God, has already done everything it can for us. It's already done everything. But it's up to us, and we have been given the ability to create, to do the rest for ourselves. So what does that mean? It means that the infinite's already given us the ability to create. It's already in us. In fact, your lives are a demonstration of your creative ability right here, right now. Whatever you've experienced, you've created through the conscious and unconscious thoughts that you maintain in your power right now. But the mind is also saying is you can go beyond that because the power will respond to you. So let's go into earnest. The average person, when told this truth, will seek some other way. This is where a majority of people go. They will understand that the power to create, to believe, to focus is within them, but they're not going to do it. They're going to find another way. They want a shortcut. They don't want to do the work. We are a lazy race. Human beings are really, really lazy. We have a creative power that's right where we are. We're told how to use it. We've been taught it by all the avatars throughout history, and we want to find a way that works differently. Duh. And I did that, so I'm guilty. We have to think of ourselves in this infinite mind, think of ourselves as a center in this mind. This is the principle from which we operate, and you think and the mind produces. In other words, there's an infinite mind. Our mind is in that infinite mind. In our lives, our mind is the center of that mind. And as the center of that mind, our thoughts being broadcast out draw to us that which we want and which we are. Not what we want, what we are. What are the thoughts? If I'm in a state, I want to do this, I want to have friends, I want to have money, I want to have that, you're going to be a wanton person the rest of your life. You're never going to have what you want. You've got to become the person who has it in their consciousness right now. What's the saying in finances? It's, if you're making $10,000 a year and you're a good steward of $10,000 a year, the universe is going to give you more money to be a good steward of. As long as you keep being a good steward of the money, you're going to get more and more and more. But people in the United States are not good stewards of their money. Do you understand why? Because they bought into the illusion of debt. They bought into the illusion of grasping on something that they don't own, and they feel that they have to spend more and spend more. Why are they spending more? Because they feel that the material thing will satisfy the inner urge with them, and no matter how much you get, the material thing will not. I was a part of that. I did that. I was in the corporate world for 32 years. I got the home, the cars, the country club, all of that. And there was an empty hole. Now, I'm not giving up what I got. Do you get that? It's okay to have the good stuff, but I also have this debt, zero. Zero debt to anyone. That became a priority to me when I understood that debt is modern-day slavery. Why? Because you're owned by something outside yourself. And so the quicker we can get into the idea of how do I become debt-free, how do I become a free person and not a slave to an idea of consumerism. It's a huge thing to understand. And we go on and we talk about one of the big points to remember is that you do not have to create. You do not have to create. All you have to do is think, because the mind, the only mind there is that creates. You're not responsible for the creation. The mind that you're a part of, the big mind that created everything, it takes what you do, it creates. And here's the thing, we will limit that mind. We will limit that mind because we're going to tell it how to do it. I want to be in a great, loving, magnificent relationship, and it's got to be with Susie Belusi over there. Well, maybe the universe has an idea that it's not with Susie Belusi, but it's with Molly Patali. So you got to be open and put out the ideas out. Notice I didn't want to say anyone's name. I'm trying to be very sensitive. Neil, this morning, we were having coffee, and he says, you become more sensitive through the years. Now, when a man tells you become sensitive, I got to go home and do some analysis of that. I may have given up too much masculinity here. But it's the individual, it's not the individual mind. It's not my mind here that's creating. It's the infinite mind that I'm planting the seed into with belief and conviction that creates. The key to creating is to get the clearest concept of an idea as possible, rely on the mind to create it, and keep everything out of your thought that would contradict the intention result. Do you really hear what Ernest is talking about here? He's saying when you've got the image of what you want, you do not put anything in your mind that contradicts that image. Because the second you put something in the mind that contradicts the image, you create the old image, and the old image gives you back exactly what your life is. Isn't that fascinating how that is? But we think it's okay. Let's keep digging that shit up. Yeah, I said the word. Keep digging that stuff up. Let's keep doing that over and over again. We'll stir it up. We'll form support groups on it. We'll be support groups. We'll be talking about it over and over again, and our lives don't change. I got the He-Man Women's Hater Club over here, the He-Woman's Man Hater Club over here. They keep talking about how men are bad, how women are bad, and guess what they keep attracting? Bad men and women. Why? What are they focused on? You guessed it, not what they want, for sure. The key is to creating the clearest concept, and this is the way I phrase it. You think only it, you speak only it, you act only it, and you feel it as if it were here and now. So, I've been planning this weekend that I just had for 6 months. I was going to fly up to Michigan, and I set several intentions. The first intention, I was going to see what's going on with a relationship that I had with my best friend in college. This is a man I met September of 69. We were friends for 40 years. I was best man for him. He was best man for me, godfather to his son, godfather to his son. Couples did everything together, traveled, vacation, did everything. 10 years ago, disappeared. I would call, no answer, no understanding. All of a sudden, he disappeared on Facebook. God, he unfriended me. So Jean last Sunday goes to me, have you thought about contacting your friend? And I said, well, yeah. And she goes, what are you going to do about it? I didn't say what I was thinking. An hour later, I made the phone call. And I said, hey, I got a voicemail. I said, hey, I'm going to be in Michigan. I've got these times available. Love to sit down with you and your wife. Just connect. Look forward to hearing from you. Didn't hear anything that Sunday. Didn't hear Monday till about 4:15 exactly. It was 4:15. And the phone rings. Lee, it's Jeff. And he says, Deb and I would love to have you over the house. We'll put out a big spread. Then afterwards, we'll go on the lake. We'll take the boat. We'll cruise for 3-4 hours on the lake. And we'll just reminisce. We'll talk. Got off the phone. What do you think happened? I cried my eyes out. Because I'd built an illusion in my mind about what was going to happen. So we got together, and it was the most fantastic evening. I can't tell you how good the evening was. And here, did I ask why we didn't talk? Never. Did Spirit unfold it? Yes. In the end, I said, you sent me a text the other day. I never got it. Did you get the text I sent you? He says, no. I said, pull out your phone. Had a wrong phone number. I said, and then all of a sudden the conversation, he says, I quit Facebook 2 years ago. I just deleted my account. Do you see how the mind creates things that don't exist, and you build a whole story about it, and you put that into your subconscious mind? Do you think you were having some doubts about things? What's happening here is I'm trying to share with you that the spirit that is within you will awaken in you at the appropriate time that which needs to heal. You don't have to go searching for what you need to heal. If you're moving in the direction of what you want, the divine within you will raise that in your consciousness when you are ready. And apparently it was 10 years. And so then, it was real interesting. I met with, for lunch, I met with Suchita. And Suchita was a woman that I connected with at Mount Kailash last year on the journey there. And it was an interesting thing how our energies were such a vibrational match. And it was fascinating that we met at this Indian restaurant. Turned out it was her husband's restaurant. I didn't know that, so I got to meet her husband. Any of you watch Seinfeld? And you ever seen where they talk about low talkers? You know a low talker? Someone who's talking like this. They talk real low. Well, Suchita's a low talker. So I put Suchita on my right side. Why? This is my better ear. So you as a community should know, if I move you to my left side, it means I don't want to hear what you got to say. I should really be in England driving as opposed to the United States, if you understand the meaning there. Anyway, so we were there, and her husband came over, and he sat down with us, along with his business partner, and they're going to be opening a restaurant in Irving, Texas. Isn't that not a coincidence? But anyway, he's not a low talker. He's a whisper talker. And where do you think he was seated? Over here. Not only is he a whisper talker, and I'm not being offensive here, but he spoke broken English with a lot of Indian or Hindi involved. I just smiled. There was nothing you can do. But then he got up, and I was present with him. And this is the real key thing. You were present. And I looked at Suchita, and then for the next hour and a half, the connection we had at heart was beyond anything. And you could tell because people, you'd look around, everyone was watching us. But I'd surrounded us in a bubble where we could connect in the midst of, there were probably 80 people in the restaurant. See, it was a conscious choice to connect. A conscious choice to be with Jeff and Deb. Now I went to my 50th reunion, so let me describe what I was in high school. I was not this. I was insecure. I'd come from a Catholic school for 9 years, so I was going into a public school where everything was already established, all the cliques, everything. So you walk in and you're not a part of anything, and no matter what you do, you're not going to break in. These cliques are there. They're situated like that. But I knew there were 10 people that from what I remembered I had relationships within that. And I set an intention that I would make sure that I had a conversation with those 10, but I would have a majority connection with my high school best friend. And so I walked in, and I was greeted, and I said this. Most people won't remember me. I was not someone that you remembered. Okay, I didn't do anything. I wasn't a part of any big club or anything like that. I walked in, and Franklin, who is the facilitator of the whole program, has been following me on Facebook, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, Lee." I said, "What, Franklin?" He says, "Would you do the blessing before the offering?" I said, "Well, sure, I'll be happy to." And so everyone's greeting, and after he did that, all of a sudden, 8 of the 10 people that I was looking for immediately just came to me. And we loved on each other, and we loved on each other, and we loved on each other. And then, right before the blessing, Karen came up, and we connected. And I looked at her and I said, "We have to find time. Are you available tomorrow so that we can connect?" She says, "No." And so she said, "It'll have to be tonight." So I'll continue that aspect later. consciously thinking the whole time, remembering, when you're at a reunion like this, are you present with everyone? You have to be, or you're going to miss out. So I get up. I'm the only speaker that used the microphone the whole evening, and they're all sitting there and they're looking at me, who is he? And I took the mic and I said, please take the hand of the person next to you. They looked, they reached over, they took the hands, and I said, now close your eyes. I said, begin to focus on your breath. And I said, now breathe into your heart. And I said, breathe out all the nonsense that you have remembered about high school. Breathe it out. And breathe in love. Now breathe out love into the room and know that the love that you're breathing out will come back to you tonight. Now go into your life and reflect on it and be grateful for everything that's ever happened to you, everything. And with that gratitude, come back and appreciate this food, appreciate these people, and have the greatest night of your life. And I said, affirm that with me and say, and so it is. And they said, and so it is. And I walked off. It was my conscious intention before I ever went to do the blessing. Franklin understood without me asking, allowed that to happen. So what do you think happened the rest of the night? Everyone wanted to come up and meet me. How did you know to say that? What do you do? What is this? What is this? What is this? Because they felt a new energy. But here's the thing, we're afraid to be the new person in the world today. We step back and we're afraid to speak our truth. We're afraid we're going to hurt other people. And we've just got to give that up. Because if you're going to be authentic, there are people who are going to be hurt and you can't give a damn. Because it's their perspective, not who you are, that's upsetting them. And so when I finished and all these people, Karen's walking by, and I said, when? And she says, now. And so we go outside on the deck. We were at the Dearborn Country Club. We go on the deck, and for the next hour and a half, we were in this bubble where we just connected. We talked about our lives, everything in the depth spiritually. She went to the Church of Today with Marianne Williamson in Warren, Michigan for a period of time when Marianne Williamson was there. So there was a connection there. And we finally said, because we kept watching people coming around us wanting to come in and talk. You know, all those people still wanted to talk, and they saw that we were so connected they weren't going to interrupt. So finally we come out. This is really funny. And we walk in, and they'd cleared the dance floor, and they put on, I forget the name of the song, but it was one of those slow songs from 1969. So I took Karen's hand, and we walked out into the dance floor. I put my hands like this. And we started dancing, then she put her hands like this, and I put my hands like this, and we proceeded to slow dance and talk in a very intimate way, and no one was on the dance floor except us. Whoa. And everyone was watching, and we didn't even realize it. We were told this afterwards. We were present. We established and rebuilt a connection in the universe. And if you've had a connection in the past with someone that's real, it can be rekindled like this. Can be rekindled like this. Because Karen, we went on a date. We went to homecoming of 1969. And when we got done with that date, we realized we would never, ever, ever date again. There was not a biological chemistry between us. But we also realized that we were best friends and we weren't willing to give that up. So that's why I can say this in front of my beloved Jean, and she has no jealous bones. Karen was at our wedding. You know, so I share with you, using the creative power, you've got to see it, feel it, think it, believe it, act it in every moment. You've got to act out who you desire to be. You've got to become that man, woman. You have the creative power within you. How are you going to use it? What situation is coming up for you this week that you've not set a conscious intention for? When you don't set a conscious intention, you will be a victim. You'll be a victim of the collective consciousness around you, or you'll be a victim of your unconscious mind that you're not controlling in the moment. Do you get that? So you get the choice of being a victim, or you get to be the choice of being the creator. And remember, things will happen to you that are not always good, but how you respond to them is a choice. Everything that happened in our past may have been unconscious, but in this moment, it's now a time for us to choose, and we can see it differently than we've ever seen it. I'm telling you, I'm seeing agape tripling in size in the next year. I feel it. I'm not going to talk about anything but it. I am going to live it, and I'm calling on each of you to witness it. And don't ever walk up to me and talk about anything limiting with agape, because I will walk away. Why? Because I'm going to follow the advice that Ernest Holmes gave. I'm going to follow the advice that the great avatars gave. I want to prove this now. And I invite you to join me on this, and let's prove something together. And if we prove something together, think of the power we will share with each other. How great is that? I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful for all the people out there in the land watching us, because while we may be 100, we have thousands and thousands watching or listening to this on YouTube and on our podcast and on Facebook. So know that we are so much bigger than this. And do you realize that if you have 100 people dedicated to one idea, believing in an idea, that we can influence 1 million unconscious people? That is the formula that is there. It's taking the number 1% of 1 million, and what's the square root of it? When you get that number, that's how many. So 100 of us, this room, can influence 1/6 of all of Dallas-Fort Worth if we put our mind into something. So I'm saying to you, let's put our mind into growing spiritual awareness. And over the next year, let's cause our influence to triple in the Metroplex. Then we can affect 3 million people. Are you with me? Yes. Let's pray.